let me set the stage for you, okay? We're gonna go back a few weeks. So there I was, helping out my nan, doing some manual labour around the house, as any good grandson would, when I came across a relic from my past. See, I didn't grow up on the fancy Disney and DreamWorks movies, no. I was raised on a mixture of bargain bin knockoffs and whatever obscure stuff my nan found at a car boot sale. This is the only logical explanation I can come to when I think of how she possibly ended up with the DVD for this random cartoon called The New Adventures of Ocean Girl. See now, as a kid, I didn't think too much about it. I remember looking at the case and going, Ocean Girl? Oh, what am I, some type of faggot? I'm not watching that. Before putting it to one side and watching Bob the Builder. Like a real nigga. However, I definitely did end up watching this show at some point. Likely because I just couldn't stomach watching my DVD of Harry Potter 4 for the 8th time in a row and had no choice but to broaden my horizons. And just a few weeks ago, all the memories came flooding back to me. But I hear you asking, why do you care about this random Goyslop cartoon from Australia that aired over 20 years ago? Well, to answer your question, I think I might be the only person alive that actually knows this thing exists. I looked it up online, there is no subreddit, no fanbase, alright? The only evidence that this show even exists is a few re-uploads on YouTube. That is it. I am quite literally the biggest fan of this show, just by default. So, I decided to re-watch the show, all of it this time, to see if it was actually any good. Results are mixed. I still haven't really mastered the art of properly structuring these types of videos, so I'm just going to go over the actual plot of the show itself and occasionally go on little tangents. Plus, you definitely haven't seen the show, so you're not going to know what the fuck I'm on about otherwise. So the show begins with an intro that's been burned into my brain for how much I love the song. This song was written by an Australian band called Tidders, and it's a shame they don't seem to have done anything else similar to this song because it's probably their best work from what I've listened to. After the intro, we get some narration. Let me break it down for you. So there's this girl called Princess Neri. Look, I know this sounds like a Barbie show so far, but just stay with me. And she's from a planet called Oceania, but left 3 years ago to live on Earth, which we never get to see in this show. However, she's now going to be coming back to Oceania because this Bigfoot thing called Neander was sent to pick her up. There's also an evil wizard called Galil, who needs to collect all the Chaos Emeralds to get back to his Ultra Instinct form. He was apparently stopped last time by a fucking whale somehow. Anyway, there's a generic prophecy about how one day he's going to return, but the planets will align and he'll be defeated by the Chosen One. Oh boy, I wonder who that's going to be. Anyway, the show starts for real now, and it begins with a meteor falling into the sea. That whale that I mentioned earlier goes to check it out, and we get this scene that scared me a lot as a little boy. The whale is also clearly terrified because it fucks off and decides to leave this for somebody else to deal with. We then cut to space where Princess Neri is leaving Earth, accompanied by Neander and this thing that I fucking hate. So this dog thing is apparently a droid which can turn into anything it wants. We're never told where he came from, like did she get him from Earth? Did he go to Earth with her in the first place? We don't see anything else like him at any point in the show. I know it sounds like I'm expecting too much lore from a show that's clearly aimed at kids, but it has a bunch of moments like this that imply there is lore to this world and they just never expand upon it. Neander then says that he's worried about the prophecy coming true soon, but Neri tells him to just shut up and stop being such a fucking doomer. This is then immediately followed by the meteor firing a big evil death beam into the sky, which causes a bunch of natural disasters to happen all over Oceania. We then cut to the royal palace where King Nemon, who is also Neri's uncle, is talking to the 3 alien clan leaders of Oceania. These are Lord Laziah of the Cave Dweller clan, Lady Shima of the Flyers, and Lord Zardor of the Amphibians. Zardor is my favourite. Speaking of Shima though, I remember showing a few pictures of the show on a community post recently, and this included a few pictures of Shima, and let me tell you, the reaction from my community to that character was, well, there's no two ways about it, it was fucking horrendous. Right, I'm never going to look at scrambled eggs the same way again. So Zardor and Shima are talking about how all their homes are being destroyed by the tidal waves. Meanwhile, Lord Laziah just looks fucking baked. King Nemon says, "Don't worry, nothing ever happens. and everything will soon be back to normal once the planet has settled from the recent meteor strike. Lord Zardor's not having it, however, and explains that this kind of stuff has happened to them on their own home planets before they were destroyed and caused them to flee to Oceania. You see what I mean about the lore stuff, right? The show just casually drops the fact that none of these three are even from Oceania and they had to come here from their own planets that got destroyed. And then we basically learn nothing else about any of them for the rest of the show. Anyway, Zardor mentions that it was Galil that caused all this to happen and him who destroyed their planets. Nemon says,
I know who Galil is. What makes you think it's him?
He pretty much just told you why. Anyway, Nemon then says, don't worry, if it is Galil, we'll kick his fucking ass because he's a pussy ass bitch and we've got a whale on our side. We then immediately find out that it is Galil and he lives inside that meteor. It's never really explained how he ended up in a fucking meteor, but okay. You can also watch all the people on Oceania through this evil Jumbotron thing, which again, I don't know how that works. We also get introduced to his two henchmen, Elga and Moser. I actually kinda like these two, they're probably some of the funniest characters in the show. Shima and Lazaya think the prophecy is upon them and that Neri might be the promised one. She is. Back aboard the spaceship, Neri's having a dream about the whale, some crystals and this. Again, I vividly remember this shit scaring me as a kid for some reason. Galil says I can't let this bitch ruin my plans and decides to make her crash land through magic, I don't know.
Thank you for choosing Ryanair. We will be landing in the next 10 seconds.
Seeing a ship crash, King Nemon sends out his guards to go and get her.
Princess Neri is proving to be quite a challenge.
How? All she's done is just not die in the crash. If anything, she's just kind of lucky.
Elga, release the warrior.
My pleasure.
Okay, this thing is borderline fucking useless, right? It never achieves anything, but it shows up so many times throughout the rest of the show.
This nigga gay as hell.
So, Neri and co get chased by the warrior into an underwater cave where we're introduced to...
Hey! I'm the one you want. You shouldn't have done that.
Okay, as much as I do like the retro sci-fi fantasy elements in this show, it can get real fucking goofy at times. The group are then found by Captain Shakana, the leader of the Royal Guard, who are here to take Neri back to the palace. Goatee Guy says he needs to speak to the king urgently. Galil, who's listening to this conversation, uses his powers to possess King Nemon, and the episode ends. Also, the credits theme for this show fucking bangs, by the way. Before I get on to episode 2, I just want to say I really like the aesthetic of this show. Something about the 2D characters in CGI environments is just really charming to me for some reason. Also, the overall art direction is just really good. All you queers on Twitter be saying out over Agatha, when real hood niggas be dreaming about Oceania. I also really like the character designs, like Galil actually looks really metal, especially for a kids show villain. The different races also have little quirks that make them stand out, like the cave dwellers always end their sentences in like it's some kind of audible punctuation mark, I don't know, it's really charming. Anyway, episode 2 opens with Neri and the stranger talking to King Nemon, who is now secretly being controlled by Galil. Goatee Dude seems to know that something ain't right with the king, and so he's taken away before he can expose him. He's then locked up in what is probably the most unnecessarily metal prison cell of all time. This is what Alligator Alcatraz should have been, boys. Going back to Neri and not Nemon, I like that you can tell Galil realised that he might have slipped up a bit there, and so he makes up an excuse as to why he's been so harsh.
Neri, my love, I'm sorry for my outburst. I'm getting on in years, and I tire quickly in these difficult times.
Neri believes him immediately, which would be fine if it weren't for the fact you had a literal vision about him turning into an evil wizard the other day and now he's acting all suspicious. Possessed Nemon tries to trick Neri into bringing him the 4 magic crystals, telling her that they have to have them all safely brought to the palace before Galil can get to them. However, the location of the crystals is unknown because they were all scattered across different parts of Oceania, and the only person who knows where they are now is the whale called Mandrul. So Neri goes to talk to Mandrul, and the conversation goes a bit like this. Yo, can you give me the location of them crystals please, we need them. No. Why? I don't know, I just don't really feel like it, mate. Anyway, here's this really cryptic advice, bye. Man, I really hate this trope of having a cosmic deity just refuse to tell the characters all the necessary information for no reason other than just to make the story last longer. Like, the whale is pretty much Galil's archenemy. Why not be more helpful? Like, I know she's choosing not to tell Neri where the crystals are because she doesn't want Galil to get them via King Nemon, but she doesn't even tell Neri that he's possessed, she just lets her figure that out for herself. I genuinely think this whale might be the least helpful character in all of fiction. Back with Nemon, I again like how Galil actually tries to mask his frustrations at not getting the crystals as more like righteous anger.
How can I be expected to rule Oceania and protect the life of the planet on my own? She must divulge this information, or we'll all perish.
We then cut to Neri in her room, which, how the fuck do you even get up there? Turns out Neri is a bit suspicious of Nemon and decides they need to rescue the goatee guy from earlier if they want some answers. I mean, I feel like you could just talk to Lord Lazaya, he seems pretty chill. Anyway, Galil decides that Neri is no longer useful to him since she doesn't know the location of the crystals, and orders Elga and Moza to have her whacked. Meanwhile, Neri, Neander, and that droid I hate, he's called Micro by the way, free the guy with the goatee. Captain Chicana is alerted to this, but the group flees into the Tunnel of Horrors. Except for Neander, they just kind of fucking leave him there. Pricks. Thinking she's still in her room, the bad guys order the warrior to go and blow it up.
Tactical nuke incoming!
This will never be addressed. In fact, I'm pretty sure the room is just magically no longer destroyed in the next episode. Captain Chicana goes to tell Nemon that Neri escaped with the prisoner. Nemon's currently not possessed by Galil, and so he has no idea what prisoner he's talking about. Again, I like the implication that Galil just doesn't have enough strength at the minute to be possessing Nemon 24/7 since he's still too weak, and he just wasn't expecting anyone to talk to the king at this moment. Anyway, back in the Tunnel of Horrors, Neri and Goatee Man get attacked by an eel. They escape, but Goatee Man is weakened by being tired and collapses, leaving us on our next cliffhanger. The next episode begins with Neander being arrested by Sharkana and Lazaya for helping Neri free the prisoner. He's also basically getting charged with the manslaughter of Neri since anyone who enters the Tunnel of Horrors is sure to die. Lazaya decides that instead of punishing Neander, they should send him into the Tunnel of Horrors to rescue Neri, since if he fails then he's basically dead either way. Back in the tunnel, Neri and this guy, whose name we learn is Joba, discuss, oh yeah, he's fine by the way. Yeah, that cliffhanger at the end of the last episode? Yeah, it was just him being a wimp, I guess. This will be a recurring theme. Joba asks Neri why she freed him from prison. She doesn't really give a reason, basically just...
because that's what heroes do.
We do at least learn that she knows Nemon is being possessed. Okay, thank God. Meanwhile, above ground, Captain Chicana and Shima are having a private discussion regarding the king. I actually really like scenes like this. I'm a huge fan of stories where the good guys don't know who can be trusted and so they now become the ones that are doing all the scheming behind each other's backs instead of the villains. Chicana asks Shima to keep an eye out for Neri in case she survived the tunnel, in hopes that she can be brought into custody without the king knowing so that they can clue in on things. Back with the bad guys, they're just plotting again as usual. I kind of love the dynamic these three have. It kind of feels like Galil's this disappointed parent who's trying desperately to do his job while also checking to see if his kids are picking up on his wisdom.
Master, we're a little confused.
And what's so unusual about that?
Oh, that is, Moza is a little confused. Could you explain to this alien's armpit what you mean?
Well, if you're not confused, why don't you explain it to him?
Yeah, well, it's obvious.
My plans are never obvious!
So Galil takes over Nemon again. You can tell he's possessed now because he suddenly starts dropping fucking bars.
But sire, the official period of mourning for Princess Neri is not yet over.
The dead can take care of their own.
Back with Neri and Joba, Neri gets hit by a dartfish which is poisonous, or venomous, I don't fucking care, one of the two. Meanwhile, Neander's been looking for Neri this whole episode. I just never showed it because it never really added anything. Anyway, back at the palace, the clan leaders have assembled to talk to King Nemon. Turns out Neri's been rescued by Zardo's people and is being kept in their village. Nemon orders him to bring her to him. Zardor doesn't really care about getting involved with the drama and he just does as he says. Elga's then brewing some kind of concoction in an attempt to make herself younger. She tricks Moser into trying it as a guinea pig, to which he's turned into an egg. By the way, this isn't the last time we'll see this exact scene shown in its entirety. This show really starts to cut corners later down the line. Later, the three clan leaders are talking about the King Nemon situation. Lazaya and Shima are suspicious of Nemon and ask Zardor not to bring Neri to him. Zardor again just doesn't want to get involved in any of this and tells them he's just going to do what he's told and stay out of it. Anyway, the episode ends. Episode 4 begins with Neri and Joba imprisoned by the amphibians. Neri convinces the guard to let them go by basically pulling rank on him by reminding him that he's just as much her subject as he is the king's. I don't really think that's how power hierarchy works. Neander finally makes it out of the caves and finds himself in the amphibian realm, where he soon links up with Neri and Joba. Neander then gives some exposition about the current politics of the situation with the king.
The clans are divided, Zardor is obedient to King Nemon, who's being controlled by Galil.
Okay, how do you know that? You've been skulking around in the cave for like the past day and a half. Anyway, they go to see Lord Lazaya and...
What's this?
The eternal tongues of flame.
So what happens now?
Princess Neri must come through to get to Lord Lazaya.
No, Princess Neri, no one could survive that inferno.
Except for those with a pure heart.
Okay, stop introducing random bullshit. I genuinely want this show to have coherent lore. So she talks to Lazaya, he says, "Fuck off and go talk to the whale." Neri goes to talk to the whale. The whale tells her to find the crystals. While this is happening, Joba gets captured and the episode ends. Neri comes out of the water and is like, "Where the fuck is Joba?" Neander's like, "I don't fucking know." Cut to Joba, now held prisoner in the meteor, where he's been taunted by Elga and Moser. Joba tries to talk to Neri through telepathy, but it doesn't work. Oh yeah, random characters can just have telepathic conversations for some reason, but we're never told who does and doesn't have this ability. Like, we see the cave dwellers have some type of telepathy at various points, but the amphibians and the flyers seem to be completely non-magical races. I also don't know why Joba's got this ability, since he's not even from Oceania. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Joba's actually from another planet called Bandor. Back at the palace, King Nemon is back to being himself and thus has no memory of declaring Neri a fugitive, and he's like, "Fucking hell guys, go get her please." The three clan leaders decide to talk among themselves in Lazaya's caves. Did they have to cross through the big fuck-off firewall to get in here? I don't exactly get the impression that my boy Zardor fits this universe's definition of being pure of heart. Anyway, the three once again discuss King Nemon. Lazaya tells the other two that Nemon is being influenced by Galil, and that Neri is in fact alive. He then brings up that Neri is the promised one, spoken of in the generic prophecy. Zardor doesn't believe in the prophecy and tells Lazaya to cool it with the gay hippie nonsense. Lazaya tells the other two about a sacred stone which, if they get it, will tell them exactly who the promised one really is. I thought you just said it was Neri. However, it's conveniently been lost for thousands of years, just like every other fucking MacGuffin in this show. Okay, I need to know, how long have the clans actually been on Oceania? From the way Lazaya talks about it, he makes it sound like the prophecy is as much part of their culture as it is the people of Oceania's. Is this prophecy a galaxy-wide thing? If so, it's pretty convenient that all the IKEA parts needed for it just happen to be on this one planet you guys live on. Anyway, Neri and Neander are chilling out on this mountain but get captured by some of Shima's flyers and are taken away to their lair. You know, this probably would have been a more tense cliffhanger if we didn't already know that the flyers are still the good guys because of that scene with Sharkana and Shima earlier. Episode 6 starts with Joba imprisoned in the meteor, where Galil's chatting mad shit. Turns out Galil is responsible for Joba's planet being pretty fucked, which is why he came to Oceania in the first place, to see if King Nemon would help him. Neri and Neander get brought to Shima. Shima says that she wants to hear Neri's side of what's been happening lately, because the political landscape on Oceania Twitter is a fucking mess right now and she can't make heads or tails of it. Meanwhile, Zardor convinces Captain Shakana that they need to go and kick Galil's ass so that they can actually help the king instead of just watching him sit there wasting away.
If we don't take matters into our own hands, you will not have a king to serve. Look at him. He's wasting away.
But what can we do? We don't even know where this Galil is.
Exactly my point. We must seek him out.
But even if we did find him, what could we possibly do?
Fight him.
This guy is being met with an eldritch horror beyond human comprehension and his first instinct is to go and Batista bomb the fucker. Zardo might actually be one of the biggest chads in all of fiction when you think about it.
Promised one. Prophecy. I doubt anything I can't see or touch. We're the only ones who can determine our future. We must act now and not wait until it's too late. Words and hollow prophecies are hardly adequate weapons. The king has given me an order, and it is my duty to carry it out. I do not wish to fight you as well, but if I have to, you know that I will.
Back with Neri, Shima's telling her about the sacred stone mentioned in the prophecy. And in the previous episode. Great, so now we have to sit through exposition for something that we've already had exposition for. We then get a scene of King Nemon agreeing to let Zardo go and do some reconnaissance near Galil's meteor to see if he has any weaknesses. After that, Neri and Galil start having some psychic battle.
Oh, goodness, what's going on?
Which somehow ends up frying Galil's brain to the point that he can't spy on her anymore. While the bad guys are knocked out, Joba uses this as an opportunity to escape. Just outside, Zardo and Sharkana are getting a look at the meteor. Zardo gets a bit too confident and goes in for a closer look. He then gets zapped in what is an extremely rare Zardo L. So rare in fact that I'm not sure it actually happened. Neri wakes up from her weird psychic war of the minds with Galil and we end the episode. And I am going to end the video here because I just realised how fucking long this show is, right, and I do not have the time to cover it all in one video. So, this will have to be part 1 of however many it takes to cover this thing, but until then, here are some out of context screenshots from later on in the show to keep you intrigued.